Our beautiful little girl, Candace, died by hanging 4 days after ingesting 100 milligrams of Zoloft.
Matt violently and with great difficulty took his own life.
She ended the night by cutting her wrist.
At least 100 children have committed suicide and many others have attempted it while taking antidepressants.
I found Jacob hanging from the rafter in our attic.
It wasn't the disease that caused my daughter to viciously mutilate herself. It was the drug.
These parents believe the drug companies had evidence there was a risk, but never told them. Maybe if they had been warned, desperate situations might have been prevented.
This is 911. Who is this?
Listen to a call from a 10-year-old boy whose 14-year-old sister is on Paxil and trying to swallow a bottle of pills.
Where is your sister? What is she trying to do? Take pills?
What?
Is she
No, my dad told me now. Hold on, tell me!
The family is suing. 2 months later, their mother calls 911 while fighting to keep Michelle from stabbing herself with scissors.
No, you're not going to die. No, you're not going to go today. Oh, no! Oh, no!
People who were not suicidal before I put them on the drug, who very clearly became agitated, sleepless, restlessness, and completely preoccupied with suicidal thoughts. And when I took them off the drug, it went away.
You just shouldn't have to feel this way anymore.
You may recognize the happy bouncing circle in this Zoloft commercial.
Depression may be related to an imbalance of natural chemicals between nerve cells in the brain. Prescription Zoloft works to correct this imbalance.
But wait a minute. Experts say there's no scientific proof that depression is caused by a chemical imbalance, even though many people claim to be helped by these drugs. And what's more, there's no way to precisely measure these chemicals in human brains. Instead, they test rats.
So you're telling me they fed rats some of these drugs,
right,
mixed their brains up in a tube, measured
right,
if there was more fluid than there was before, and
right,
that has started a cultural revolution of medicating behavior?
The bottom line, we don't really know what these drugs are doing in real live human beings.
We've heard more and more attention about deficit disorders, ADD, and attention deficit hyperactive disorder, ADHD. The most common treatment for this disorder is a drug called Ritalin. This drug is being given to more and more children in this country.
According to the manufacturers of the drugs, the following side effects can and do occur: heart palpitations, cardiac arrhythmias, psychosis, dizziness, and tremor, to just name a few. There is no valid test for ADHD. The diagnosis, called ADHD, is completely subjective.
And for anyone from the APA or psychiatry to come here and say these are diseases is a fraud.
Fox News has learned 7 of the last 12 school shooters were on Luvox-like antidepressants or SSRIs. The list includes 15-year-old Kip Kinkle withdrawing from Prozac when he shot 22 classmates, killing 2 after murdering his mother and stepfather at his home in Springfield, Oregon. 14-year-old Elizabeth Bush on Prozac when she blasted away at fellow students in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, wounding 1. 18-year-old Jason Hoffman on Effexor and Celexa when he opened fire at his California high school, wounding 5. 15-year-old Sean Cooper on a mix of antidepressants when he shot students in Idaho. 15-year-old TJ Solomon also on a mix of antidepressants when he aimed his shotgun at classmates in Conyers, Georgia, wounding 6. And 17-year-old Eric Harris on Luvox when he and partner Dylan Klebold killed 12 classmates and a teacher in the bloodiest school massacre yet, Columbine. 2 years ago, 16-year-old Corey Badsgard took a rifle to his high school and held 23 classmates hostage. Just one more apparently unexplainable violent outburst at school. Unexplainable to everyone but Corey's dad. So in your mind, there's no doubt what happened here?
I had no doubt that the medication did this. I mean, he had amnesia, hallucinations earlier, abnormal dreams, which are all side effects of the medication.
Jefferson County parent told me that he had first complied with the school's direction to place his son on a stimulant drug. The drug caused his son to become violent. He began taking steak knives out of the kitchen and stabbing his stuffed animals and mattress.
Mark and Cheryl Miller say Zoloft, an antidepressant that was given to help their son, 13-year-old Matthew, killed him instead.
We asked, are there any adverse effects whatsoever? And they said possibly some indigestion, maybe some insomnia, but there was no discussion about any other kind of adverse psychiatric effects whatsoever.
Matthew became uncharacteristically moody and agitated, and after 7 days on the drug, he committed suicide.
We teach our kids, we tell them to say no to drugs, but yet we prescribe some of the most powerful, mind-altering stimulants that you can imagine with very little education. And I think that's criminal.
Julie Woodward was only 17 years old. She had recently switched high schools, and her parents say she was in a rebellious phase. Julie had been taking Zoloft for just 7 days when her father found her in the garage. Julie had hanged herself.
I just remember that moment, and I just said, you know, no, God. And I just grabbed her and held her. Yeah, I knew she was gone.
Now, Primetime has obtained an internal document from 1997 showing that in some studies, the number of people taking Paxil who experienced withdrawal symptoms was shockingly high. We found 25%, 42%, even as high as 62%. But these numbers were not included in the warning given to doctors or patients. And take a look at these documents, directing sales reps to minimize concerns about discontinuation, to try to even avoid using the word withdrawal, and to not focus on how often these effects occur. And maybe this document provides the simplest explanation of why this company wanted to downplay discontinuation. Do you believe that the decision of some companies not to reveal negative data is about science or sales?
Oh, this is about money. This is not about science.
British medical authorities gave makers of antidepressants another blow. An official recommendation that young adults ages 18 to 30, not just children or teens, should be very closely monitored when starting the drugs.
Matthew Smith took Ritalin from age 6 to the day he died at age 14. On March 21st, the day these pictures were taken, Matthew collapsed at home and never revived. After an autopsy, the medical examiner's conclusion was that Matthew's heart had been damaged by long-term use of methylphenidate, the generic name for Ritalin.
A little girl named Shayna Dunkel.
She always was happy, very upbeat. She could just make the sunshine. She was a special child. The school kept influencing, saying, something's not right here. She can't sit still. You gotta, you should do something. And that's where it all got started.
By second grade, the school psychologist urged the Dunkels to take Shayna to a doctor. Psychiatrist Roger LaRoche in Bradford, Pennsylvania, diagnosed Shayna with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. Dr. LaRoche described desipramine as safer, with fewer side effects, and less potential for abuse. Shayna was given more and more of the drug, and over a 5-month period, her prescribed dosage increased to 250 milligrams per day.
The Dunkels were unaware of the risky side effects.
10 o'clock in the morning, I received a phone call from the school nurse telling me that Shayna had taken a slight fall in library. And I explained to her that we were going to go to the doctor, and immediately she said, Mommy, I don't need to go to the doctor. I feel perfectly fine. I want to play my Nintendo.
Vicki and Steve drove Shayna to her pediatrician, just a few feet away from Dr. LaRoche's office.
And the doctor listened to Shayna's heart, and he said, call a code 99. It meant cardiac arrest. And I knew my baby was in trouble.
And when I took her into the other room, she was laying there. She took two gasps of air and died right there in front of me. And that was the last I ever saw of her.
Saving other children, speaking out, that's what I need to do.